Let's talk about the murder of Vincent Coll. It was called Mad Dog Coll. Again, only in the newspapers. Mad Dog Coll, the Mad Mick. Nobody ever called it. Like nobody ever called Al Capone Scarface. They walk up and say, "Hey, Scarface." So these are newspaper creations. Um, it was entertaining for people. Coll was an Irishman. He was not an Irish American. He was an Irishman. He was from Donegal, way up north. I once, one week, spent an eternity there. He left, understandably. In the States, he ended up in reform school at age 12. He ended up with the Gopher Street Gang. Those guys were vicious. Uh, by the time he was in his early 20s, he had a record as long as your arm. He hooked up with Dutch Schultz, who was into a lot of stuff, gambling and so forth, running numbers in Harlem eventually. And he was starting a beer business, and Coll worked for him from the beginning, around 1920. He murdered a guy for Coll, and he got off with it, a guy named Anthony Borello. But Schultz used his influence and got him off. In around 1929, Coll broke off on his own, and he robbed a Bronx brewery of $17,000. Schultz called him in and said, "I want you doing that. I got you on salary. Stick to business." And that's when Coll just said, "No, to hell with this. Look, I want to be a partner. I'm out here killing guys for you, beating them up. I want to be partners in this business," which was pretty big. It was a big bootlegging business. And then there were all the other things Schultz was running. And Schultz just said, "No, I'm not going to deal with it." And that's when the war broke out. One thing led to another. And Peter Coll, Vincent Coll's brother, was shot dead by Schultz's guys as he sat in his car in a street in Harlem. Coll went crazy. He started killing guys left and right. Newspaper people, police, think he killed around 20 guys right after that. He also hit Schultz where he needed to be hit. He broke into one of his garages, smashed up about 120 vending machines, set 10 trucks on fire. At that point, he needed to finance what he was doing, his work. Schultz had a lot of money. He could fight forever. Coll had nothing. And so he started to kidnap gangsters from the street, usually gamblers who could pay to get loose. But the mistake he made is he kidnapped a guy named George Big Frenchy DeMange, who was a close friend of a very powerful bootlegger named Owney Madden, who may have been from Wales. I don't know. Jury's out on that. They were close friends. Madden and Schultz, either together or separately, put up around $50K on Coll's head. They'd had enough. Because Coll was then calling Madden, saying, "I'm going to kidnap your brother-in-law, I'm going to do this and that." They'd had enough. A week before Coll was killed, two guys working for Schultz, or perhaps Madden, broke into an apartment in the Bronx carrying machine guns, and into an apartment. They thought that Coll was there. He wasn't. They blasted the place to holy hell. They killed two of Coll's guys and shot a third one, a bystander. Coll wasn't scared. He continued with his demands. On February the 8th at 12:30, he walked across the street from where he was staying on 8th and 23rd Street, Manhattan, and he called up Madden, and he's saying, "I want 50,000. We're going to kidnap your brother-in-law, blah, blah, blah." The story is Madden had the call traced. By the way, when you see on TV or in a movie, they couldn't make the trace in a call. It ended too quickly. That's not true. A trace takes seconds. That's the story. I don't know. While he's on the phone making threats, a limousine, so I guess if you're going to murder somebody, use a limo, and pulls up in front of the drugstore. And one guy waits in the car. That was probably Bo Weinberg from Murder, Inc. And two others step out of the car. One guy stayed near the door. Another guy walks down into the store. Coll was way in back where the phone was. It was in a glass enclosed phone booth, which unfortunately they don't have anymore. The guy walks by the cashier. He says, "Keep cool and keep low." Wow. And he takes out a submachine gun. He's wearing a long coat, and he blasts the living hell out of the phone booth where Coll is, a glass phone booth, and kills him immediately. They walk out and they take off. There were 15 bullets taken from Coll's body, and God knows how many went through him. The main suspect was a guy named Fats McCarthy. They say he worked for Coll. He worked for Coll off and on. He was murdered in 1932. The machine gun used to kill Coll was used later by a guy named Tough Tommy Prothero, and he used it to rob a store. When he was murdered in 1935, they put the two together. So he was probably the shooter. Coll's widow, Lottie, who I don't know about, she was convicted of carrying concealed weapons. She got 6 months right after Coll was killed. She said she wouldn't leave prison, that there were people who killed her husband, were going to kill her. I think she's the one who ratted the guy out. I think as soon as he walked across the street and he said, I'm going to call Madden, shake him down, she got on the phone. He didn't use the call in the hotel where he was because it could have been traced probably. And he called from the drugstore. I think she's the one who made the call. She dropped a dime, said, look, he's in such and such a place. And then it was easy to call Murder Inc. to get 3 killers. It wasn't all that difficult. It is possible they traced the call. I don't know. I really think it was a setup that the killers were standing by waiting.